As we get back into the classroom routine, we're excited to talk more about establishing connections in the classroom. If you haven't already, go and check out episodes 2 and 3 of EduWell, Connections Before Curriculum Parts 1 and 2. In these episodes, we discuss several key factors to consider when connecting with your students, because it is so important to build that positive community. Today, we're diving a little deeper into the well to discuss 4 steps to spark student connection that will benefit you, the teacher, all year long. Let's get started.
Hi, welcome to the EduWell podcast, a show created for, by, and with teachers. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chelsea. With over 30 years of combined teaching experience, our goal is to share insights and connect with fellow educators on how to thrive both personally and professionally.
Join us as we dive deep into the well of information, filled with meaningful discussions, practical tips, and ideas that go way beyond the classroom walls. Let's be well
and do well together.
Perfect. So let's drill down. And this episode is just kind of an extension on building connections with students. So in those previous episodes, 1 and 2, for instance, we focused on teacher-student connection. This one is centered around getting the students to interact with each other and to recognize the importance of getting to know each other and or interact with each other. So there are many reasons why fostering these strong connections is so important for the teacher and the students. But the 2 that really stand out for me and for you based on our conversations, Chelsea, is that you are starting right away on creating that sense of belonging in the classroom. And it will help with classroom management going forward. And we know how important classroom management is and community is in our spaces.
It's the key to everything.
So let's dive in and splash around into 4 simple steps that you can repeat throughout the whole year to help in sustaining and strengthening these connections.
Let's do it. Step 1 is to plan or choose that activity. Here's the thing though. I didn't say plan a bunch of activities. I said plan one activity. We're all about keeping it simple. So today we're going to use one of our favorite and most effective games to get students to have fun with interaction and to get to know each other and to really just initiate those connections. The thing about this game is that we can then use it all throughout the year because you really don't get sick of it at any age. Do you, Alex?
Never. I adore this game. And every once in a while I remember, oh yeah, spoons. We could play spoons. Oh, did I just give away the game? I that's an oops. I apologize. And I'm excited to share the love that we both have of this game with listeners. And I want to throw out there that me as a game player, I tend to try to throw everything out there all at once instead of focusing on one really good game. You're almost like saving the next game for the next experience for students as opposed to showing them all of your tricks in the bag at once. So I love that we're focusing on one game. And one thing that I want to just also throw out there in this moment is that before you go forward with the game, you have to make sure that you're thinking about every single student in the classroom, what their needs may be, what the limitations may be, what the strengths may be, and plan in a way where everyone can be successful. And as we know, that takes a little bit of creativity, but using that universal design for learning in something like this and knowing who's in your space is really key. So just throwing that out there.
Right. And so that's one of the reasons why we choose spoons, because the rules of the game are quite simple and it requires very few resources. You don't even need spoons. I just use markers in place of spoons. So if anybody out there doesn't know how to play spoons, because I didn't even learn this until later in life, to be honest with you, you can check out the link in the show notes.
Another thing to consider is that there are cards that have Braille on them. So that provides us with another opportunity if you have a student with visual impairment, depending on the degree, to create another game opportunity and make sure that everyone is able to participate in a card game of sorts.
Right. So your game might not be spoons, but it might be a different game with simple instructions and just a few resources. It's always tailored to what works for you and your class.
Exactly.
Now let's move on to the next P in our 4 Ps, prepare. So, yes, you have to prepare your materials and also the groups of kids. So, you can do this however you want. Of course, you could use the Flippity app, you could use popsicle sticks to draw names, or you could just have the groups prearranged how you see fit. But the other part of this step, and I would say the most important part of this step, is to prepare the students. This means have a conversation about how everyone wants this activity to look and give clear instruction. That's what I have done. I've really practiced this in the past and it has been very successful. It's all about communication here. So, some things to discuss would be what it looks like and sounds like to be polite when playing a game. You could discuss the fact that not everyone will know how to play immediately. This is very important. So, patience is required. You could discuss the importance of helping each other and what that looks like. And you could discuss the fact that this is a fun way to get to know each other. And I always like to throw in the what to do and the what not to do because it just adds a little spice to the conversation. And there are some laughs involved when we do that.
I love the pre-teaching component as teachers do something a little more fun, and that's a good thing. And what the preparing does is it gives students the language as to how they're going to communicate with each other. And it gives you, as the teacher, the ability to say, remember when we talked about this earlier, and then you're referring to the teaching that you did. You're not assuming everyone just knows how to play a game respectfully. And the life skill that you are teaching in that pre-lesson is a really great way to lay the foundation for how the entire year is going to look and doing it in a fun way. So I'm just going to back this up a little bit. If it's always about what you're doing in front of the classroom as a teacher and then the students responding, then I don't know that that is super fun for students to be the only way that they get to interact. To wrap it around a game where it's about them finding joy, having fun, laughing with one another, having a mild level of competition, they're learning those great skills around fun, around a positive experience. And one more thing, I just find that students are so much more willing to give as students in the moments where you are fully the leader in front of the class teaching, when you give them the ability to practice the skill in a fun way too. It's this constant give and take and, weaving in the fun. And I have found great success with this. So I'm so glad we're talking about it.
That's so true. I think it also having these conversations really adds a sense of ease and accountability. So you've had this conversation, all of this information is out in the open, so students can keep this in mind as they're playing. They're remembering, okay, how should I respond in this situation? So it is all of these social cues, these social interactions, these conversations that they're having that they're really learning about and they're having fun with. Okay, let's get into the playing part of it. You just play. There's not much more to say about this step. You just go for it, and sometimes things get messy. That's how you learn. I will add, though, that when playing spoons, there can be a rule where students can get eliminated from rounds. And then they have to wait until the whole group is done to begin again. That's not something I do because I don't like that wait time. Instead, the students will just play around, someone will win, and then I ask them to just immediately start again. And that way, no one's waiting 3 rounds to get back into the game. So it doesn't allow for that idle time. And then the playing leads into step 4, which is participate. So here's where the teacher can move around the room to watch and interact with students, or you might want to jump right into the game.
It's pretty great jumping into the game and joining the students, and they get to see a different side of you when you're just wearing a little bit of a different hat. You're a participant in a different way. And I think that that's important for students to see us having fun too.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're walking around, you're offering help if needed, you're offering words of encouragement, you're monitoring those interactions and sort of banking that information going forward so you know how to help the students going forward. And hopefully, aside from the many voices in the room, we know that it can get a little loud, like we said, games are fun. Hopefully you are enjoying yourself too.
You know what I have always found, which is interesting, is you always have the stellar star that kind of rises up, and it's a student who's a really good encourager, or someone who, responds well when another student feels disappointment, let's say. And you get to see a student who may not be academically showing up so far in what you've seen, but shows up and has a really deep intelligence in how they interact with one another. And you get to really capitalize on the strength of students and point that out in a special way at another point in the day, or you give them praise in front of the class, depending on the dynamics and the comfort of the students. But that in itself is such a relationship build for you as the teacher with the students, to be able to see those strengths in your students and have them know that you see that in them, that you feel that way about them. And it just continually builds that rapport, you with students with students, and you as the teacher with the entire class.
Yes. And this is different from like a project collaboration because it doesn't have that added pressure of I have to get the work done. I have to show what I can do. It's more fun. And often students will come in knowing how to play the game. And so let's say for those students who maybe aren't as outgoing or maybe they're not as comfortable, it's an opportunity for them to show other people what they know. And it is that little bit of empowerment. And I've seen that many times. So it's sparking connection when we do that.
I also see this as a really good opportunity to observe the way students interact with one another, the way they conduct themselves. And it can give you evidence for learning skills. And sometimes we only pull evidence from learning skills from moments that, are very academic. But these moments also count. And so I think you're not evaluating, but you're kind of seeing the anecdotal evidence and building, areas that you can help support the student to improve in certain areas, and to help the student to continue to, excel in areas that they're already excelling in, and to comment on those eventually, whether it be verbally or on a report card at some point.
Yeah, it is a fantastic opportunity, especially at the beginning of the year, to really observe how the students are interacting and to know how you're going to proceed. Because I think it's probably a dream of all of ours as teachers to have that class where everyone gets along and everyone is accepting of each other and everyone is having a great time while they're working together. This is very aspirational and it can happen from time to time, but there are many hard moments. We are constantly teaching conflict resolution and social skills, etc., all of the 6 C's, and that's a big part of teaching connections. So, starting this off early in the year and then continuing it throughout, I know that I have found great success with this and I'm going to keep doing it. Now, one of the awesome things about this game is that it's both entertaining and challenging, making it perfect for repeated play. Like I said, it's tried and true in my classes. I'll start it off, and then a few days later, I'll take another chunk of time to prep, play, and participate, knowing that I have this reliable activity ready. But the next time I play, I will switch up the group so students can interact with different classmates. And they really start looking forward to this and asking to play. I'll then continue doing this certain times throughout the whole year, incorporating other fun and easy games, easing them in. So it's really worked for both of us, and I think it can work for a lot of other people.
And I think that focusing on one game is key, and then slowly building your repertoire of games. Because I know when I love something, I will exhaust it. Have you ever done that in your classroom where it's like the kids love something, and so you basically overdo it and you overexpose them to the game to the point where a good portion of them are like over it? So incorporating over time, like you just said, more and more games, and kind of having a go-to list, and having games for softer moments, having games that can be ruckus, having games that reaffirm learning that has been done in the class, having games that are getting to know you games, and building those in so that eventually like they all know how to play and you're pulling out the proper game for the appropriate time.
And I think the other side of that would be that you think internally, okay, I've done this over and over again. They're probably not going to want to do it again. I better switch it up. I better switch it up. I better switch it up. So I've tried that before, and they have said to me, but we wanted to play, the game that we've been playing. And I'm like, oh, okay. It could go either way. So it's always a balancing act.
It is always a balancing act. Are you ever worried is it ever a concern for you that someone is going to walk into the space and think, oh, she's just playing games with the kids? And of course, we know the value of games. We know the value of fun and connecting. But is that a source of kind of stress for you ever?
No, that is never a source of stress for me. But I also think that's because I have been teaching for a while. It may have been in my first years where I thought I always have to be on and I always have to be doing something that's, related to the curriculum, even though this is related to the curriculum because this is all about learning skills. I can justify that any day of the week. I think because of the sole reason that this is an activity or doing these activities are what makes students feel comfortable and safe in the environment or what starts building that positive community. And that, again, is number one if you want to get to the academics.
Yeah,
if you want them to
absolutely.
listen to you, if you want them to listen to each other, it's all about relationships.
So it's a game and it seems simple when you just look at it on the face, but it's got a lot of really deep reasons as to why, it builds classroom community and connection and it pays you forward in so many ways. You know what else? I'm just showing my cards here. See what I just did?
Oh, nice.
Thank you. I actually think it can buy you some time. Once these kids get
Yeah.
really good at these
Yeah.
games and you're having one of those days where something happened at lunch and you didn't get a moment to yourself and you need to kind of look through, what direction you were in before and where you're heading and you just need a moment, it can buy you a little bit of time. And we're always recommending different ways that we can find those little beautiful moments of time when we do have the students to be able to kind of take a breath. So that's a big one for me. It allows you to take a breath and not have to be the center of attention. The students are all leading within their little groups. To me, it's kind of like a little mini pause button for me if I've done it right.
But that right there shows the success of the situation because maybe they're not playing spoons at that time, but maybe they're doing another activity. Maybe they are doing those group projects, but you don't have to be on them all the time. That's huge. I always say to them, when they get together, how do you want this to look? Do you want me looking over your shoulder the whole time? And they're like, no. And I say, okay, of course. Like it's important to learn this independence, to be independent while you're collaborating, right? And to learn how to interact, socialize with people, and find success on your own.
I think you're also showing faith in the fact that students can run a show on their own, whether it is the group work or the card game. And when students see that you believe that they can, it instills confidence in them and trust in them, and they tend to rise to the occasion a good
Exactly.
percentage of the time. Yeah. So I think that whole gradual release piece, this whole episode is gradual release, right? You're
Yeah.
pre-teaching, you're talking all about, what the expectations are and are not. And then you're kind of walking around and observing. And the eventual goal really should be that the students are actively playing with one another when you're not even around. Like, let's just throw it out there. A snow day, inside lunch. Well, they always eat lunch inside, but inside recess portion. And you walk by your classroom, you've got to pick something up and you notice that they're playing something that you taught them. And oh, strange, they are playing the game with students that you may not have originally placed them with. And then success. And that's really a part of the goal.
Honestly, I think that is one of the most rewarding things in teaching. I don't care. That's rewarding. I love it.
I do too. It's one of my favorite things because it's kind of something you've taught and you've walked away from it and you kind of forget about it a little bit. I mean, we're deconstructing it right now and talking about all the benefits. But as teachers, we're doing these things all the time organically without even thinking about it. But all those points that we mentioned, they're all very valid. And when students end up doing it, like I said, on their own, it's like, yes, success. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, well, I guess we can wrap up this episode and go enjoy the rest of our summer vacation. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I feel good about that. I will say this, that, we have a lot more time when we're on summer vacation, in theory anyways, but I've noticed that, and I can only say this to teachers, but that weekend time, that evening would be done work time, it doesn't give me the same level of satisfaction because we have so much time. Like, I enjoy it so much more when I am working. Now, I love summer. I would never give it up. But it's interesting how those sacred blocks of time, being weekends, after school time, evenings, let's say, they don't hold the same preciousness in this moment. And this is something I've observed. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to both of our goals. You talk about being present. I talk about being intentional. You talk about slowing down to go faster. Well, I think we have that on the brain all the time in summer. It's like, this is also very precious time. How am I going to use it? I'm doing a lot of metacognition during the summer. I'm really thinking about my thinking. So, and that comes from experience too, to be honest with you. I think the older I get, the more I'm like, okay, enjoy every minute of this right now. So that's where I'm at,
Okay, well,
meeting my goals.
Love it. My quote is, summer is the time where I become who I really am. And that is because I have the time to really start to, be meta, like you said. And beyond that, just to kind of, when I'm inspired by something, I want to try something new, I have the time and I have the energy to put towards something, completely about, what I want to do. And I just learned things about my personality. Those are usually things that I have to kind of put aside when I'm back at work. And so the older I get, the more I'm going to incorporate those into my everyday life, period, not just when I'm on vacation. So if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I honestly think every teacher can relate to what you just said. Definitely. Like, summer is a reflective time. It's an exciting time. A lot goes on in the brain. So
okay. Well, let's work on the takeaways then. I think we dealt out a really fun little episode and splashed around in the well, and
good job. We got a lot of imagery going on here. We can see the cards, we can see the well. I like it. Well done.
Perfect. All right. Let's do the takeaways. 1, plan one simple activity. Focus on a single activity like spoons to keep it manageable and engaging, promoting interaction with minimal resources.
2, prepare. Ensure that materials are ready and that students understand guidelines. Discuss politeness, patience, and teamwork.
3, play and enjoy. Let students play and have fun. Modify rules to keep everyone engaged and able to play fully.
4, participate at your discretion. Move around, offer help, and encourage students. Join in if you want to. Thank you so much for listening. And please, if you can take a few seconds to give us a review on your podcast app, this would be really helpful for us to share information with our fellow teachers who are out there on the same journey as we are. You can find us on Instagram at eduwell_podcast. That's EDYOUWELL_podcast. Until next time, be well
and do well.